was in the dark, against it all, but made it through the day. Cause I found my way, I found my way. In bad times, I know I'll be okay. Cause I found my way. Cause I found my way.
Passion.
More energy.
More passion.
Okay.
More energy. More passion. More energy. More passion.
Okay. So, I'm going to let you introduce us.
Don't slip your throat.
I love doing that after a long pause. Someone says something weird and you're like...
You love awkward.
I love awkward.
Hi.
Hi.
It's the Trauma Twins.
It's been a minute.
It's been a minute.
It's been a minute since we've done this. So, welcome
back.
us back. Yeah, thank you. Hi.
Yay.
So, what are we talking about today?
Surrendering.
Surrender. So how does... Oh, I love this. I love this. This has been coming up in my shit for weeks. Just this week, though, I pulled the hangman card 3 times. So we got a lot. I love it. I'm going to get it tattooed to me. You watch.
I don't like the hangman card.
Oh, we'll talk about that in a minute. But why surrender? You actually brought it up. I said, what topic should we think about, and
Yes.
why surrender?
Because I think, not to throw you under the bus, you struggle the most with this right now.
Right now,
Surrendering.
It's weird. I can be so in it and okay with flow and change because I'm a mutable sign. You are.
I am fixed across the board.
all your
fixed.
major 3 are fixed signs.
My 2 major ones are, but the rest of my chart is fixed.
Oh, that's a
I'm
lot.
fixed.
What does that mean? It means you don't like change.
I don't like change.
Yeah.
Consistency
And
across the board.
Gemini's mutable signs are very much, I would say, more adaptable.
If you know a Gemini, you know what we're talking about.
But I think
Aloof.
flow state is more the word. Like there's a constant, all
Yeah.
life is change, right? All life is change, and that is the only constant. So our resistance comes from not wanting that, right? Expectation of wanting
Ego.
predictability, ego.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wanting to maintain control.
Okay, so what is surrender? When you said surrender, let's talk about what were you thinking?
Surrender to me is when you are releasing your control over a situation. I don't know how to define it.
Well,
Releasing control
okay.
over anything.
I think
in
that's
general.
see. This is the funny thing because I find, especially recently,
Yeah.
this past few years, I didn't think I'm a control person. I didn't think I was a
Most
control.
people don't. Yeah.
But we need control in our lives to feel like things are moving right. You know.
Yeah.
So meaning like, where does like okay? So controlling what people's reactions. So we've been talking
kind of like anxiety.
Yeah, definitely
like just
anxious.
trying to control the outcome of a situation.
Yeah. When realistically,
You have no control.
we don't have control over most things, so it's best to go with it. I've been telling myself a lot, why don't you surrender it sooner? Because spirit, my higher power, the universe knows way more than I do. It sees all the unexpected that's unfolding and happening.
Mm-hmm.
And the more I try and get in the way and put myself in a situation to control it, to mitigate it, I end up mucking it up.
I was going to say you muck it up.
Muck it up. And again, you're going to get there
Yeah.
eventually, but
You can always get to this destination no matter which way you go. But I think there is power in learning how to flow with
Yeah.
the river.
yeah. I sent you that video today. I don't
Yeah.
even know what it was from, but this woman pushes the other woman. She's like, just trust it. And
Trust the water.
trust the water. And she pushes her off a cliff into this raging river. And it's natural.
She's fighting it.
Yeah, because you
and-
want to get your
yeah.
bearings, right? But the metaphor, which is so beautiful,
As soon as she relaxed and started floating.
it was rough, but it was
Mm-hmm.
she was going with it. And she gets out and everything. But it was that serenity, that peace.
And I think it's important to note that spirit's always going to take the path of least resistance.
I agree.
And it's
Everything
very
in
similar
nature
to
does.
water.
Yeah.
It's going to take the path that is the easiest. So if you're putting a bunch of roadblocks in the way,
Yeah.
you're mucking up the water.
Yeah. Again, how does that manifest, though? What does that look like when we...
I think,
How do we try and control situations?
see, this is something I had to deal with a lot in 2020 to like 2022.
God, I think everyone went through this
Yeah.
because we lost so much control. We realized how powerless we were.
So I really have come into this season that I'm in now where I just don't give a flying F about anything because it's going to be what it's going to be. I can't change that. So I think that it manifests when you are trying too hard to create your future around your expectations.
Expectations is a big
what
piece.
you think are defined
Yes.
as success.
Yeah, that's
Different belief systems, and you're trying to create and formulate your future off of that, and you're not allowing space for spirit to do what it needs to do, because we have to kind of have that bird's eye view of
Yes.
they can see and know more than we know, and we might not even be able to fathom what can be done for our future.
There are so many good points in what you were just saying. And
I'm full of great points.
you are full of great points, my wise, sagacious sister. I love it. One, expectations.
Yes.
Surrender always comes hand in hand with expectations. That Buddhist, it's very Taoist too, that go
Yes.
with yin and yang and like
Yep.
flow and receptive and active. So there's a few things I want to talk about. One, the expectation. We only know what we know from our
Yeah.
experiences, right? But the point of surrender and life is change and growth, right?
Yeah.
When we surrender into or release or sacrifice into this, which I want to make a distinction on later, sacrifice, but when we let go into this, it opens the world of potential for new things, new
Yes.
possibilities, new options, new experiences.
It's like saying yes, you're creating
Yes.
space.
And that's what life should
Yeah,
be at the end.
always.
Expansion. We're here to expand our
And
souls.
learn.
Yeah, and learn.
Change.
So I was thinking there is a like a little graph, like a Venn diagram, and it was saying the flow state in the middle is vagina. Flow
Vagina.
state is in the middle between timing, like synchronicity, which is a spirit thing. That's all about the stuff we can't control because there is a perfect timing for things, whether you see it or
Divine
not.
timing.
Everything in life, my mantra I've always said, everything comes to you, life brings you what you need when you need it.
Yep.
In perfect timing, for the perfect reason.
Always.
Whether you see it or not, there's a reason, right? The other side of the Venn diagram, timing and then preparation.
Yeah.
And that's where we're active, that yin and yang, right? You have the passive yin principle, the feminine, where it's not non-action, but it is non-action with intention, meaning allowing for, right?
Yes.
The rest is
Creating
intentional.
space for,
Yeah.
but not doing anything in that space, just creating it.
Yeah, and allowing. It's
Yeah.
the allowance principle. Whereas the yang is active energy, right? And that's more about what are we supposed to be doing. And this is what I've been struggling with, I think, recently, because as that perfectionist piece, as the overachiever, as the I want to do more, always more than I
I
can
think
handle.
there's the element of you have to be doing something in order to earn it.
Yeah,
too.
yeah, and that's our trauma.
Yeah.
From,
Yeah.
Always feeling we need to earn.
Are we doing
our
enough?
worth is tied
Yeah.
to what we're producing or
Yeah. Am
what
I
I have to
doing
show
enough?
for it. But where is this line, would you say, between you have to be active and work with spirit? Like, you're not going to get the job if you don't go out and apply for it. But at the
Right.
same time, when is it too much? You're forcing too much and you're trying to control where, like putting yourself in a position where
Yeah.
you're not supposed to be.
I think that for me, the lesson that I've always learned in this situation is I know it's too much when I'm stressing. When it becomes, I'm out of balance because I'm just filled
That's
with
good.
anxiety or worry or stress.
That's not flow state.
That is not
Yeah.
a flow state
That's
ever.
not surrender. Yeah.
Ever.
Surrender should come
There
with
is
peace,
something,
right?
yes.
Yeah.
There is something to be said that you have to do your part in order to meet spirit halfway. It's not just going to fall in your lap, like you said. The jobs, you're not going to get hired for a job you didn't apply for.
Yeah.
But you have to be able to also recognize that a perfect example is if you need a job and you don't know where to apply, having those conversations and in sitting in silence and praying and saying, where do I want to go, and listening and being receptive.
Excellent point.
To what spirit is trying to show you, being receptive to the signs that are being presented to you. And then from that, you take it another step and you actually start to apply for those kind of positions. And then you kind of just have to take your hands off the wheel and be like,
because after you've applied,
yeah,
and
you've done your portion,
part, then you have to allow space for the universe
right,
to move
and
too.
create,
yeah,
to create
the unfolding.
I like there's this movie, I can't remember for the life of me what movie it is, where she says, I just can't help but think that maybe there's somebody sitting at a desk right now who's thinking about getting another job, and where she's sitting is where I'm supposed to be sitting right now. And so there's this
Chain
reaction, reaction where you have that divine timing piece comes in of, you can ask for it, but that doesn't mean it's coming today. Things have to happen. Other people's, we're all interconnected in this life.
You want to get spiritual,
yeah.
like just thinking about the interconnectivity,
yes.
and like we're so focused as humans, and like especially Americans, I think it's always about us, our immediate needs, what is going on in our life.
Yep.
We are connected intrinsically to everything else.
That's why I love the word serendipitous.
Yeah.
Because so many moments in your life are moments of fate and chance that you don't even realize.
Perfectly organized. But yet at the same time, if you even stop and consider half of what is happening to get you to that point,
Yep.
for that meeting or
Yep.
for that opportunity, it is infinite. It's so vast, and the potentials. That's why nothing's a coincidence, you know? Like,
right.
I always think what they say, like,
come back to that surrender piece of, you have to really be comfortable with, if you're running late, maybe
Yes.
you're running late because
Yes, that's
if
exactly
you
what
walked
I was
out the
thinking.
door 10 minutes sooner, you wouldn't have run into a certain person, or you would have
Yeah.
gotten into a car accident,
crash.
or you have to really get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And in that is the surrender.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's exactly it. Okay, so surrender, what does that look like? What things are we often required or asked of us? I do want to go back to when you were saying, when we surrender, though, this is that active piece again. It's not just giving up, right? But you have to make space for...
You're not giving up at all. You're actually giving in.
Yeah, sacrificing, yeah.
Because a lot of times people don't realize how much work goes into surrendering.
Yeah.
Because it's all a mental game. And this is stuff that you're dealing with internally. You have to really check your thoughts, and you have to really stay on top of not obsessing, not trying to control, not trying to worry or predict what's going to happen, because the more mentally charged you are, you're putting that energy out, and it's creating roadblocks.
So I've been watching Abraham Hicks. If any of you are familiar with her, this woman, it was a couple. I don't know if he's still around, but her husband. But she channels, and just this amazing entity she calls Abraham.
Yeah.
But it's all about manifestation, and the whole point of her ministry or her lessons is, you are constantly putting out thoughts to the universe, and the universe is neutral, and it's always going to give you what you're thinking, good or bad, right?
Yep.
And so there is work involved in trying to maintain a positive, hopeful mindset. And how she equates it, and I'll put she has this emotion chart of the base energies, and then the highest frequencies, which is always gratitude and love, right? Same thing almost, appreciation and gratitude. But that's work. And she says, and I was just listening this past week to her, what people don't see when people are doing this stuff, it takes lots and lots of time to train your mind. And how she says is, keep your focus. So if I'm having a bad day, you may not be at joy right away, but you go from anger to like envy, or anger to dissatisfaction.
Yeah.
You know, that's still a different vibrational resonance than the other, but it takes work to get to another frequency, and it comes through training our mind, right? Like focusing purposely.
For me, the way that this all came together was The Power of Now, that book.
You
have to learn to be an observer of your thoughts, because this to me now is so incredibly easy to shift my thinking, because I have spent years cultivating being the observer of my thoughts. And where is this thought coming from? And okay, I'm going to let it go, or okay, I'm going to explore it more. And it very much detaches the emotion that you're feeling to the thought that you're having.
Yeah. Oh,
It keeps you present and grounded.
powerful. So it's passive action. Again, allowing, but you need to also go inward. You
Yeah.
need to set aside time. No one likes to sit with the uncomfortable. For me, the
I
surrender,
love it.
for me, especially these past few months,
I just kicked Taven in the head.
oh, baby. Oh,
I did not do myself any favors.
he doesn't like you already. You're
I
not
did not do
helping.
myself
No.
any favors. He left.
He's done. He is so over you. As soon as you get close, come here, baby.
Damn it! I love you.
But for me, the surrender piece is sitting with my emotions. That is not normal for me in the sense of I have emotions, but the difficult ones, right?
Yeah.
Like being okay with just being and not looking for an escape or a fix or just, but that is an active choice to passively sit with those emotions, surrender into them, because that's the only way they're going to resolve, right?
Yin and
Or
yang.
move through you.
My whole thing is I have to work out of the emotion because I'm too in it. I'm too emotional.
Interesting.
So I have to put those to the side and not
Trauma
feel
twins,
it.
yeah.
So
Yin yang.
yeah.
And I am the
exact
opposite. I avoid it
have to
because I don't want to
surrender.
go into it.
Yeah.
Ooh, which is fascinating when you think about we come from the same family, but how different people respond to their experiences, you know,
And
their
yeah.
environments. Oh,
No two people have the
Good.
same outlook.
okay, so doing your part. Let's talk a little more about doing your part versus trusting spirit. So where has that come? Give us an example from your life, your experiences of something you had to surrender.
I just think in general with relationships, my expectation, I have, like we've talked about before, and you probably have seen the clip, I get in the way of everybody's karma.
I just posted that.
So, to me, surrendering that I can't get in other people's way. I have to let people learn their lessons and
What does that mean? Not teaching them, not trying to guide them through it?
not trying to fix them.
fix them.
Not trying to control the situation to mitigate their hurt or their pain, but to just be an observer and to be there when they need me to be,
Yeah.
but not offer the solution or try to control and mitigate pain for them.
Yeah.
So that I think that's how it shows up the most for me, and that's what I mean by the opposite is I get into that state of I'm feeling everything, and because you're hurting, I'm hurting, and
Yeah.
I want to stop that pain. So I want to get in the way and say, no, don't do this, and don't touch that. It's hot.
And they
don't
say
do
this with parents, right? But
Yeah.
you got to let your kid get hurt.
You have to let people learn their lesson.
It will not like get hurt, but we're going to hurt, and that's how
Yeah.
we learn. Pain is our teacher, you know.
Brian
There's
and
levels,
I
obviously.
were just talking about that yesterday in the car, that pain is the biggest motivator
It is.
for change.
Suffering, yeah.
Because when you go through something so intensely painful, you don't ever want to go through that again. So you're willing to do the work to make sure you don't.
And that's the Buddhist philosophy. I love Buddhism because it's saying pretty much all life is suffering.
It is. It really is.
But the caveat is, the truth is, it's our attachment to things that causes the
causes
suffering. So
suffering.
if we have non-attachment, if we release, and when we realize nothing's really ours to possess, especially relationships.
Others. Yeah.
Like Maya Angelou, you know, let it go. Love, like a bird, let it go.
It's one of those things where you have to get comfortable with loving people, but not having them in your space or
Yeah.
in your life.
Yeah.
As she says, you can be in Africa, and I will love you the same as I love you in this moment where
Yeah.
you're next to me. Love doesn't
Yes.
change just
Yes.
because the person's no longer there, but that doesn't mean that you have the space or capacity to keep them in your life in order for you to remain in a positive
Change happens.
vibration.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you have to let people go, but you still love them.
Another thing Abraham Hicks was talking about was contrast is what she uses for like obstacles or like
Yeah.
difficult things. Really, it's neutral. It's contrast. There's contrast. I know what I want and I know what I don't want. And it's in these contrasts and experience that are, we would say, often negative, but really it's just teaching us if if it's negative to us, what's that telling us about what we want, about
Right.
where we're at, what we need, and what we don't want, right? Follow your bliss is what Joseph Campbell always says.
And I think
Yeah.
that kind of comes into what we were talking about earlier. You have to give space for spirit to create.
Yes.
Because I don't always know what I want.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know what I don't
Yeah.
want.
Yeah.
But sometimes there are things that I want that I didn't even realize I wanted.
Or that if you
until
get
I
them,
experienced
you
it.
don't want them after because you're
Right.
like, oh shit, this isn't what I
So
expected.
it's kind of just being open to any possibility and trusting that spirit knows what's best for you.
Yeah.
Always.
Always. And there's
And
that
there's
faith
always
component.
better if you're letting something go, if you're releasing something,
Yes.
and you're surrendering to that, recognizing and realizing that something better is always on its way.
Yes. And that is surrender and sacrifice. I wanted to come back to that. I've been getting the hangman card. This week I got it 3 times, which we always talk about the tower, but it's saying you need to let go. You
Yeah.
need to sacrifice. And I don't know, I'll put up
What
an
are we
image.
letting go of?
It's so exactly what's being required of me.
Comfort.
Comfort.
You're letting go of comfort. That's why I, as a fixed sign, hate that card.
Yeah.
I like my comfort.
We all do. It's human. We want
Yeah, but-
predictability. We want to know
Yeah.
what's around the corner.
I'd rather get the death card.
So if you look at the hangman card, the guy is upside down, but if you look, his expression is actually one of peace. It's very calm, and he's got an interesting posture. And the whole myth behind it is that it's actually about Odin, and the idea of Odin. He wanted all the information. He wanted to be the top god. He wanted to rule everything, and he knew he had to accumulate this information. So I forget how the legend goes, but he has to suspend himself from the world tree, Iskadel, for 14 days or 7 days or something like that, upside down, and yuck, right? But by doing this, by actively choosing, and this is
Yeah.
the whole thing of the hangman card, it is a willing sacrifice. It is sometimes not, but once you realize you're there and you're stuck anyway, you might as well relax
have
into
to,
it because
kind of.
you can't
Yeah.
control it, and there's a lesson you need to go through this. So someone at work is annoying you. They're not going anywhere. So how do you make the best light of the situation?
Yeah.
And by being suspended and inverted upside down, it's all about getting a new and fresh perspective.
Yeah.
For Odin, it was all the magic and mystery of the universe. For us, it's usually the metaphor of I am seeing my life in a new way. That's the
Yeah.
miracle. We're seeing our situation, and then we're able to expand and grow around it.
So let's
That-
kind of take that. Like, if you're working with somebody who is driving you up a wall, how do you change your perspective on that?
with healthy boundaries, I would start with, like you were saying, be the observer of your thoughts.
Yeah.
Why are they fucking annoying me? You know,
Yeah.
why are they? I should probably edit that.
I
Why
would
are
say, like,
they annoying me?
for me as an observer of my thoughts, I immediately would go to, I'm really grateful I don't have to live with them.
Yes, yeah, and gratitude. It sounds silly, but that's a great way to start moving that vibration. It sounds. Oh, could you
Yeah.
imagine? I say it
Yeah.
all the time. Could you imagine being them
No.
or being in that life?
Yeah.
But what is that saying about me, and what am I resisting in
Yeah.
that? I think there is so much potential when we release into it. And
Oh,
you're not going to want to be
100%.
best friends with this person, but
No, and
it's about
yeah,
finding peace
it's not
within
about
yourself and
that.
not letting them bother you as much.
Right.
Coming to a place where you are more compassionate and kind, maybe avoidant with
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
But
Boundaries.
yeah. For me, the surrender piece, what's coming up in my readings is building this business. I've been doing this, but I'm at a precipice where I need to jump in. Like, I need to, if this is what I want, if this is the dream I'm pursuing, then you got to be in it. You got to
Yeah.
100% know. Like, I'm looking for other jobs right now just for some extra money, for travel money. And I was thinking while I'm doing it, I don't want to serve again. I don't
Yeah.
want to be doing this again. It's all I've known. It's comfortable.
Yep.
It is familiar. I need to, there's the material. I need to do the basic to,
Mm-hmm.
survive and keep my.
Yeah, as long as you're meeting your basic, we talk about that all the time. If your basic bills are paid
Yeah.
and you have food on the table,
But what
you're
it-
doing
what
okay. You're surviving.
What Spirit's asking of me is
Yeah.
you need to eat, breathe, sleep this if you want it to succeed, which is nerve-wracking because that is a huge
Yeah.
step outside my
Yeah.
comfort zone. It's unpredictable. I don't know. It could flop. It won't. but
Right.
because I wouldn't be
But you're
called
allowing
to
that
it.
doubt in.
Yeah, I wouldn't be called to this if, but it's the lack of comfort, I think, is the biggest thing. I have to sacrifice what I know
Yep.
and who I am, where I'm at, I am now to be more. And that's powerful. That's amazing.
But I think too, if you look at your track record, anytime you've ever come to a place where you had to give something up,
Yes.
and you did not know what you were going to be receiving to replace that.
Yeah.
And if you
The
really
reward,
write
yeah.
down and kind of go through those moments in your life, you're going to find that if you had known what was coming and how much better it was going to be, you
So
would have
much better.
dropped it so much
In a
quicker.
second. Yeah. And we started this whole series with a lot about our divorce, but that's a perfect example. We chose something that imploded our lives, like
And
completely.
it was very scary to step out of.
But look where we're at now. Look at the
Right.
peace we have. Look how much growth has happened because, and if we didn't do that, if we
The
didn't
people we've met.
surrender into
Yeah.
it. And again, I want to come back to if you don't surrender, it's going to happen anyway. Like
You're gonna be forced to.
yes,
You're going down the river
so
one way
you
or
might
another.
as well do the peaceful
Yeah.
Odin like hangman
And
thing.
that's what I mean by I'm in a season I just don't care
Yeah.
anymore because I'm at that place where I realize I have no control over what's going to happen.
It's coming though.
All I can do
Yeah.
is best prepare
Yeah.
myself and then take my hands off the wheel because
anything
it's
worth
gonna
doing
be what
is
it's
going to
gonna
have a
be.
sacrifice. Yeah.
yeah, it's going to happen one way or another.
One of my things when people come to me and they're like, oh, the situation and stuff, and I'll just gently say, life is going to bring you to the same point, and it will always get your attention. There's always steps and markers
Yeah,
and signs, and
yeah.
at first it's like, hey, let's
Yeah.
go this way, let's not do that, and oh, hey, over
Yeah.
here where I'm suggesting, like,
Yeah.
hey, and if you still ignore it, it's like, okay, and then if you keep ignoring
Yeah.
it, you're going to hit a brick wall. You're just going to
That's a
crash
lot of
into
times
it.
when you hit your rock bottom
And that's the tower moments.
Yeah.
Sometimes we need those
because you
tower
weren't
moments.
heeding those little nudges.
Oh,
Yeah.
he said he's being shady.
Yeah.
Oh, he said something that made you feel weird. Oh, he said
The red flags.
oh, he's in bed with another woman. Oh, like
How much more do I have to push you?
I should have listened the first
Yeah.
20 times. It's not always like that because we're not self-aware to see the signs.
Right.
That's where that making
get
time.
better. You get better
Yeah.
the more you do it, the better you get at it.
And your intuition will get louder the more you use it. So that's really important too.
Yeah.
If you ignore it, it will atrophy, just like anything
Absolutely.
else, and
Yeah.
you won't be able to recognize the voice. Wow. Yeah. So surrender.
It's not easy, but it's worth it.
Yeah. Any other
It's
thoughts?
it's just a much more peaceful existence now.
It.
I feel lighter knowing that I don't
Yeah.
have to control everything.
There's so much stress that comes
Yeah.
along with trying to control. It is so much mental energy, and when I find I get into these, it's thankfully so much less now. When I used to spiral a lot, like when I look at those periods and those moments where I am letting my mind go down a negative path, I realize how much stress and anxiousness and nervousness that right there tells me I'm not releasing. I'm not doing what I need to do.
You're not balanced.
Yeah, I'm not balanced. So that control piece becomes almost it's super toxic, and it can be subtle, but it also can
And
be
we don't.
super
I don't even
destructive.
think we recognize in
No.
that moment that we're
'Cause
trying
if you
to
live this
control
way,
something.
yeah.
We just see it as I'm in a really bad situation, and we don't recognize our part in that is we're not looking for the good in that situation.
And so, bringing it back to this trauma piece, I think when we are in environments, especially when we're young, in hostile environments, emotionally unstable environments, we try to seek out control, and we build these
You try to make
Tools,
sense of it
yeah.
as children. You try to
coping mechanisms and behaviors to keep us safe.
Survival.
Yeah, but as we mature and grow, and we realize in life, that we are protected, that we are guided, that we, the universe is abundant and it is kind. And, you know what I mean? If you project that out into it, if you ask for that, if you strive
that's
for
what
that.
you'll get back.
Yes,
Yeah.
and that's the nature of the universe. But these old control mechanisms and coping behaviors get in the way and muck it up. It mucks up.
And we don't even realize we're doing
Yeah,
it.
and it takes a long time to undo that. So be kind with yourself too. That's
Yes.
another thing. give yourself compassion and grace.
These aren't things, all the things that we talk about, these aren't principles that happen overnight. These
Yeah.
are things that take years and years of deprogramming the way that you have approached the world, and
But this is how it
relearning
starts. Yeah.
how to kind of change that whole system that no longer works for you.
Yeah. Becoming aware of it's the first step. And this is how it starts. If you start looking.
steps.
Yeah, baby steps, but before you know it, you have a completely different existence. The
Yeah.
world is different.
Yeah.
I love you guys. Check us out on the Garden of Divinity.
Yes.
And we will be there. I finally got some stuff coming out. I'm
We're
really excited. The
excited.
E-Squared Challenge. And yeah, just be looking for more content. You'll see us soon. We're back in flow. So hope you have a good week.
Bye, everyone.
Cause I find my way, my way.